Good news! Children under 5 who live in Prince George's County are eligible to receive a book in the mail every month, courtesy of the Prince George's County Memorial Library System and the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Sign your child up today at the web address below.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Friday Eve. It is Thursday, October 1st. We are almost through another work week in the times of 2020. Glad you are all staying safe and healthy. My name is Nick. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all today to our weekly community conversation series with the Prince George's County Memorial Library System, broadcasting live from Maryland. We are Prince George's proud, and we are very, very thrilled for today's super special guest, who is one of the pillars of our community. Her name is Dr. Monica Goldson. She'll get a full intro in just a moment. But just want to give you a couple of the housekeeping rules. If you would like to present a question to our speakers, feel free to type that into the chat wherever you're watching this from. We're broadcasting live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'd appreciate if you could share the broadcast out so we reach as many folks as possible. And if you have any questions, let us know in the chat as we go. And we'll turn things over now to Roberta Phillips, who is the CEO of the Prince George's County Memorial Library System.
Thank you, Nick. And we are indeed so happy to have Dr. Monica Goldson with us today. She is the Chief Executive Officer of the Prince George's County Public Schools, and she's a product of the county schools, so she's really Prince George's proud. She has spent her entire 29-year career in Prince George's County Public Schools, which is also a milestone for sure. She has steadily climbed the ranks from classroom to district leadership. And she also serves our community at large. She currently serves on the board of directors for nonprofit Prince George's and Prince George's Chamber of Commerce. A graduate of Leadership Greater Washington, she's been named one of the most powerful women in Washington. Woohoo! Girls rock. And listed by Washingtonian and honored by the Washington Business Journal with, quote, a woman who means business award. Dr. Goldson is a 3-time graduate of historically Black colleges and universities with a bachelor's in mathematics from Florida A&M University, a master's in elementary and secondary school administration from Bowie State, and a doctorate in education from Howard. Prior to becoming CEO, she served as an adjunct professor at the George Washington University, Howard University, and Morgan State University. And whew, that makes me tired.
It makes me tired too.
Thank you for being with us today. So I'm going to start with just a couple of general questions, but really important ones. What accomplishments are you particularly proud of since becoming the CEO for the schools?
You know, I would probably have, had we not been in COVID-19, I could probably tell you all these other things that we had done around continuing a language immersion program to middle school and increasing our CTE program and expanding our dual enrollment. But I have to tell you, in COVID-19, I am just amazed about the accomplishments we've been able to do to create a one-to-one district and work to close the digital divide, and more importantly, feed our families. And to do it in a way where we've all come together as a community. It wasn't just PGCPS, it was everyone. Mm-hmm. And I think now that's an accomplishment I'm most proud of right now.
Yeah, it's really amazed me as well. And it's why the library is also Prince George's proud. It's just been a very collective, collaborative approach, which is awesome. Yeah. You mentioned the digital divide, which of course is a huge thing for library systems and libraries as well, because we always want to provide equity and access. How are you addressing the digital divide during the pandemic, and how might we as a community come together to address accessibility for the long term?
Yeah, I think this honest and truly was, next to food insecurity, one of the biggest things that we realized early on. It could cause us to sink or swim. And I refuse to sink. And I'm like, we're going to swim. And so I think what we did in the beginning was really worked with our Board of Education to find $2 million in operating budget, repurposed it to pay for Wi-Fi access for our free and reduced meals families. And I have 82,000 of those families. So I had to be cognizant of that. But then I also realized that we were in the middle of a pandemic and many people could not work. And so there were some people who weren't even identified as being free and reduced meals, who needed some support, who didn't want us to feel like we threw them out by the wayside.
Right.
And that was when we purchased 5,000 hotspots so that we could distribute those. And every opportunity I get, I try my very best to ask people, the way they can help is to reach out to their elected officials and really talk about the essentials, and Wi-Fi should be just like water and electricity. Everyone should have access.
Absolutely.
I should not be trying to take operating money to help pay for something that I really do believe we as a nation should all have access to. And so I am grateful that our congressman allowed me to have a conversation with one of the FCC commissioners to really advocate around making sure all families have it and don't have to choose between food and Wi-Fi, which is our way of educating our students right now.
Right. And I'm in total agreement. This is something the library industry talks about quite a bit, in that, we've also supplied Wi-Fi hotspots, and we're extending our Wi-Fi even further out in our parking lot. But those are all only bandages to the bigger problem of equity and privilege. Being online should not be a privilege, right?
Yep. And I don't think we really paid attention to what people had and did not have. I can tell you, before COVID came, and when we gave assignments and expected students to do research, we could always say, hey, the public library has access, or you can go to your local Starbucks or this grocery store, or you can even work from school. But the truth of the matter is the pandemic showed us that we were all stuck in our homes. So you couldn't go to any of those places. And to tell someone that they had to put their health at risk to get Wi-Fi, to me, was crazy.
Right.
And so, I think that's why I was excited about our conversation today, because, Roberta, these are conversations you and I have all the time about really closing the inequities that exist in our communities. And this digital divide is one that so many of us are experiencing. It even falls into the workspace, because employers are still expecting their employees to work from home. But what does that employee say when they say, hey, I had to choose between my child's college tuition and having Wi-Fi, and I decided, hey, cable, Wi-Fi, all those additional things I didn't have. And how do you tell your employer I don't have it?
Right. Yeah. And we've had to do that uptick with our employees as well, because right now we're just in curbside mode, and many of our employees are teleworking. And you're right. It's like, you want to be able to give them that access that they need without it being a hardship. So I think, you and I will have a conversation about this again later, because I think there needs to be some kind of a coalition that's working on this. I know the Urban Library Council has put out a statement about the digital divide, and I was very fortunate that Carla Moore, who heads my IT department, was part of that group, and she's done some interesting things. For example, we're partnering now with the Housing Authority to bring some of our surplus computers to their community meeting rooms. I mean, you just have to start thinking innovatively with all of these things. So, we'll have to have another sidebar conversation, because I think we have a lot to talk about.
Well, people can help by talking to their elected officials.
Yes, absolutely. And you have to vote. And you have to vote. If you have not registered to vote, you can go to the library. All the quick links are there.
I got my mail-in ballots at home this week. Super excited that myself and my two young men, a graduate from high school and a graduate from college, we all get to cast our votes together. Yeah,
it's such an important right as a citizen. You just need to do it, folks. How are your teachers and staff and families adapting to the virtual learning? I know I have staff who are parents, and little ones come in the meeting rooms and go out. And
well, hey, when the kids interrupt the meeting, say, hey, welcome. Right. I think it's day to day. Every day presents new challenges. I think we're amazed at how excited we are when we can just get on a Zoom meeting with no interruptions, meaning that you can get on with no problems. The internet, you don't freeze, and you click the right link. So it's amazing how small things matter now. And I was saying to someone earlier today that I'm got, emails from students, and some students are like, I am so sick of this. I am ready to see my friends. I've had enough of it. Can you make it stop? And I've had other emails from students who were saying, hey, I actually like this way of learning. Though I miss my friends, I think I'm less distracted. So I think it varies. Kids feel one way. Our teachers are yearning to have that student interaction, but they're battling with the fact that they also still want to remain healthy, and they might be caretakers for their parents.
Right.
And honestly, parents of young children, I say a prayer every morning for them, because our youngest learners weren't built to have 6 hours of screen time.
Right.
And so, I've had to say, and many times when parents have emailed and I can read the frustration, sometimes I have just picked up the phone to call, because there's nothing that I can put in writing that's going to make them feel better, other than me calling to say, I get it. And you are your child's first teacher. We're their second.
Right.
And when you feel that they have maxed out, you have to stop. You have to stop. Alert the teacher, and then you have to stop. And so we've built in social emotional lessons each week for our students to help navigate through. We continue to highlight an employee assistance program around mental health. We have 93 schools that have mental health practitioners, and telehealth has become so important. This online therapy session. Sometimes my online therapy session or other superintendents. So sometimes it really is trying to find some time for just the child to interact with other kids virtually, and sometimes for parents to commiserate together virtually. So it just varies per day.
Right. And I think, when you mentioned something that I think is really important for all of us during this time, it's that mindfulness, getting your kids out to run around the block or ride their bike when they've had too much screen time, or, running in the backyard or playing catch, whatever. It's that, getting that blood moving again. And I think also, for any kids, just getting away from the screen, sitting quietly. I practice a lot of yoga, so that really helps me with my, I can only do what I can do today.
I am trying more mindfulness strategies myself. I'm doing my best to try to take just a small break in between my meetings, and one break during the day to really just calm myself, to meditate, and then take some breaks in between each Zoom meeting, because I found that I was going back to back to meetings, and we tried to acknowledge that in our student schedules. But sometimes it's just not enough. Sometimes they know when they're on overload, and we have to listen to them.
Right. That's important information. So this moment in education will inevitably have an impact on shaping the future of technology and how we use virtual learning. What opportunities do you see for this in the future?
Yeah, it's interesting. At the beginning of this school year, I did a video for our teachers and our principals to say to them, we have turned a corner in education, and whether we like it or not, I knew the day that I announced that we would be going to virtual learning for the first semester, that how we envision education would change forever. And I think that's why it weighs so heavy on me when I had to make that announcement, because what we have learned and providing to students now really is going to take us into the next phase of delivery of education. I am surprised by the number of students who participated in summer school. So we had 40,000 students who participated in voluntary summer school.
Wow, that's great.
Online for middle and high school students, we had 1,000 high school students who decided that they wanted to take accelerated courses, a course to move them forward. And now we're offering evening school virtually, and we have 200 more students in evening school virtually than we had last year.
Wow.
And so I think our kids are telling us something different as well. I think me as an adult, as a parent, was honestly grappling with the online learning experience. And our kids are showing us, hey, they're resilient. And when I'm given some options, hey, I actually might just choose the option of online versus what I would have thought they would have said, I want the in-person.
Right. And we're finding the same thing with libraries. You know, the reach I mentioned earlier to you when we were in the green room, the reach of our programs is so much more than we could have hoped for. I mean, we don't have any libraries that'll hold 7,000 people for a program, but yet some of our programs are reaching that many. You know, we also are going to do our Kids Achieve Club virtually, which is homework and reading support. And it's this fall, it's going to be for first and second graders. We also have Brain Fuse for virtual tutoring. So the library wants to help as much as possible. We do have we've designated a certain site that's by grade level of resources that you can look up. But how can the library help you realize the dreams for the future of our students?
You know, actually, and as you were saying that, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a great opportunity for me to just say, you know, these are resources that you all have offered before. And that we really talked about. So when people ask for homework assistance, we would say, hey, the public library actually offers online homework assistance. But people were like, online, I don't want online, I want in person. I think, and so now I think people are more willing to embrace the services. The public library system has done an amazing job of offering support around national assessments, SAT and ACT. So instead of having to pay for students to go to very specified programs, you all offer that. And so the continuation of those programs, our public library system was the first place that offered a language program for us. And that was Rosetta Stone, where you could get it for free and learn another language. And so I have, you know, when we first started COVID, I was like, oh, great. I'm going to be home for a few weeks and then I'll go back to work. Ha ha ha. Trick. Trick. But when I first got out, I was like, okay, hey, this is my opportunity to learn another language. And then the decision-making time happened and it ran away. But there's so many resources. So I think your continued support in providing those resources and what we can do together is continuing to push that information out to our communities through Facebook, Twitter, newsletters, links to you all's website, and just continuing to support. You know, you've done a phenomenal job. In the pandemic now, it's caused people to realize, hey, these resources were actually there already.
Right. Thank you. I appreciate that. My team is extraordinary. I have to give a shout out to them. And speaking of languages, we have started offering, well, we have Mango now instead of Rosetta Stone. But
Yes,
we've also been offering conversation clubs in French and Spanish at various levels. So again, that might be another way for your high school or middle school students to practice their French or Spanish. And we're also making sure that everything we do in English is also in Spanish, since that is the predominant second language.
And any assistance you can to add French as well will be great.
Yes. Okay, great. We'll put that in our queue. How does your team approach serving the community of English language learners in the county before and during COVID? Because again, that becomes, you know, a potential barrier.
Yeah, you know, honestly, the creation of our parent centers during this virtual experience that we're in now was honestly created from feedback that I've gotten from our Latinx community members. And they needed to go to the brick and mortar to get that support, which is why we created the 9 parent centers, so that you can make an appointment and literally go on Monday and Wednesday, either from 8 to 10 in the morning or from 6 to 8 in the evening. Because sometimes that on phone, trying to talk someone through how to put an attachment on in an email is difficult to do. And there's a language barrier. So really listening to our community members and listening to that Latinx community was one way that we began to make some changes. The other part was really the creation of our Wednesday schedule. And so we have a non-traditional day during the week where it really is supposed to be for small group instruction and to provide that additional support virtually. And that also is to support our English language learners. So it really helps that we have an opportunity to support our Latinx community and families. And then most recently, I want to say it was September 15th, we did a Spanish telephone town hall so that we could really get to our Latinx communities in their own native language. And we're glad to have that opportunity. We continue to find ways to meet their needs through our Facebook, Espanol Facebook site. But there's still so much more we could continue to do to wrap our arms around them.
Yeah, I think, we're also, we have on-demand interpretation for our call center. We have bilingual and Spanish-only story times as well as ASL story times, which is phenomenal. But I think, this could be another technology thing. You know what? If we used artificial intelligence at the circulation desk for somebody who speaks Russian or some other language that is not as common as Spanish and French are in our county. I mean, I think this time has really opened up a lot of doors and opportunities for us.
I agree. And that's an area we both could pilot and work together to see what that looks like for our students and their families.
I love it. I'm writing it down.
Great.
I think, partnerships have been really important for the library. Part of our ability to reach so many community members has been our partnerships with Employ Prince George's and our partnerships with the Human Relations Committee and Black Caucus for the ALA and Joe's Movement Emporium. I mean, I could just go on and on and on, but we have so many rich partnerships that enable us to really meet the demand. What kind of partnerships do you have besides with us, of course? And how does that help facilitate the learning?
Yeah, we have some of the same partnerships that you have. But we also have many faith-based organizations who have really helped us. We distribute about 50,000 meals a week. And when we first started this pandemic, we really talked about, look, we're able to feed children from 2 to 18, but we really need your help in helping to feed adults. And so they were allowed to use our facilities to distribute in the parking lot to families. When we made a call early on in the pandemic of saying, we want to move to one-to-one, before we got funds from CARES Act, our own community members stepped up and said, look, I have a laptop at home. I'm going to allow my child to use it or my neighbor to use the extra one I have so we don't have to come to school and get one, which ensured our ability to make sure students had something to use in the spring. And even now with our Chromebooks being on back order and coming October 23rd to a school near you soon.
Trick or treat.
Right, trick or treat. And our opportunity to provide that additional support has been helpful. And then really around the digital divide, there are people who have made just $5 contributions to make sure that we could help pay that Wi-Fi bill. But then we have nonprofits who are also helping to reach out for what we're calling our disengaged youth. And those are students who might not have the home support they need, not because the parent is preoccupied doing something else. They're just not there because they are actually an essential worker and working. And so we are having some of our nonprofits serve as mentors to students and calling every day saying, hey, are you online? Or I'm going to join you real quick. Or did you finish that homework? Just so that they know that our community is working together and rooting for them and with them.
Yeah, and I think, we always talk about in the library world, our summer at your library because we want to avoid the summer slide. And, I think we also want to make sure we address what could be considered the COVID slide, right?
Mhm.
Because it's such a different way of learning, and there's so many different outside, internal, external factors that play into everything that happens. So are you, how does
Yeah,
assessment look and how are you addressing
yeah.
that?
So let's first talk about the COVID slide.
Yeah,
Everyone was in the COVID slide together
right.
in spring. So
Mhm.
I first start off reminding our parents we all across the nation were on the same slide together. So
Mhm.
where we left is where we, started the year, and then the summer slide piece, we know the research around it. We know what we need to do. We know we have to keep our students engaged, which is why you all create so many summer programs, and so do we. And the fact that we were able to still capture 40,000 students virtually and still did our television lessons on our public television station for our elementary students helped us really make sure that the gap wasn't widened.
Right.
Now what we're experiencing now is that, I gave a charge to our teachers to make this learning experience just like as if students were in the classroom so that we won't have so much of that gap that may exist. But we have issued a diagnostic assessment that we started the week and a half after school started, just the
Mhm.
window just closed. And we're beginning the process of analyzing that data, and it was done online.
Mhm.
So that one, it helps us to really figure out what we have to do in order to close the academic bridge gap.
Mhm.
And when we talk about the achievement gap, I always say to people it's around opportunity, access,
Mhm.
then achievement.
Mhm.
If you don't have all of those together, then you can't really tackle that achievement gap piece.
Well, and that's interesting because we just recently have created a new strategic framework, and one of our core values is accessibility.
Mhm.
Accessibility, kindness, curiosity, welcoming, and also resilience, which,
Oh,
oh my goodness, if we have
mm,
not become resilient
uh,
during all of this, I don't know. And there's always that phrase that children are so resilient. And I
yeah,
think that's true, but we also need to caution that with yes, but, right?
correct. I think we all are, but we can only continue to be resilient if we are attuned to our own mental health. And so I think we have to be in tune with it. There was a time when speaking of mental health in my community was taboo.
Mhm.
And I am grateful that now it's such that it has become a way of talking and support. Like no longer people feel bad about saying, yeah, I actually go to a mental health provider because I
Mhm.
need support going through the issues I'm going through.
Or even just, it's okay if you need a mental health day. I tell my staff that all the time. Like
Yes,
sometimes you're just overwhelmed. It doesn't matter if you're 5 or 55.
correct. We were just closed in school on Friday for professional development and Monday for Yom Kippur. But I am sure our students were so excited to have that extended week just for that mental break piece.
Yeah, yeah. And also I couldn't be on this program today without encouraging parents to make sure that you are taking time away from the screen with a book.
Yes.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
just, there's just the bonding with your child in a book. And as you said, teachers, parents are the first teachers. I completely believe that in my heart as an educator. I was a teacher in a former life, but once you're a teacher,
Mhm.
you are always a teacher.
Always.
So
Yep.
um, I think that's really important as well.
Yeah, the reading is key. And this summer we did a book study, a virtual book study. I offered it to our entire Prince George's County Public School staff,
Hmm.
and had 1,000 of my closest friends join me in a book study on Biased
Hmm.
by Jennifer Everhart. And we are
Hmm.
continuing as an organization to have those courageous conversations around implicit bias. But what better way to do it than through reading?
Absolutely. And we've been fortunate as well to have our diversity dialogues, the elephant you don't see in the room,
Mhm.
with the Human Relations Commission talking about White Fragility, and our next book is Why Are All the Black Kids Sitting Together in the Cafeteria, which is an older book, but very relevant right now. Of course, Dr. Kendi, Jason Reynolds with Stamped. So I think, for me, this has felt like sometimes pressurized innovation, but also I feel like there's like so many opportunities for people to come together, even though we're not together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. I think what's common is that, and hopefully our viewers see that it doesn't matter how old you are, books never go away. They're still part of your everyday being. And so even for students listening, if they haven't gotten their Prince George's County Memorial Library card, they can do it virtually.
Yep.
So please do it. All you need is your student number. And continue to explore through reading. It is my outlet. I look forward to long holidays. Like I'm looking forward to the Thanksgiving break because those are times that I curl up with a book and a hot chocolate and just sit and read, and take my mind away from this. So I just want to encourage it to read as another way, as another form of your own mental health support and a getting away of what we're currently in right now.
Yeah, and we were very fortunate that we were able to give away Jason Reynolds Stamped for teens during the summer at your library.
Yeah.
So he's phenomenal. I was total fangirl when I interviewed him because I was like, oh my gosh, he's so cool.
Yeah.
But reading is so important. We are hosting the One Book, One Maryland author on Sunday. Lisa C., The Island of Sea Women. It's really about strong women. I encourage you, if you have not read it, to read it.
Cool. I will add it to my list.
Yeah, it's so good. So again, just the idea that this is an education for everybody. And I think some of the things that you've said have really touched me about, it's okay to take a break with your children. We all need it. It's okay to monitor your child's mental health during this time and to reach out for help through the counselor, the teachers, the principals. There's so many resources within the county as well to help.
And I just do want to add exercise. I'd be remiss if I didn't add exercising. I know we shared when we were in the green room, I had the nerve to, on this kick of working out every day and have, I don't know, something's going on with my hamstring, but who knows? At least I can work out. But just the exercise time is also still important. Even, a walk around your home or outside, outside your house around it to get some fresh air is so helpful.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're at a point where we could maybe take some questions from our viewers. If you have anything for Dr. Goldson or me as far as the library, we're happy to entertain those questions.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And again, the purpose and the reason I love these community conversations, is it's such a great way for us to share all the resources we have, because Prince George's County is rocking it. I mean, we are feeding people, we are helping people, we're educating people, we're entertaining them, we are informing them. And
it's true. It's no better place to live. I agree. And I do get emails sometimes from our employees who say, hey, I just wanted to take a moment to say we rock. Because they've heard from a family member who lives outside the area to say, hey, we're not doing that, and I wish we were. So kudos to us as a county, as a library system, and as a school system, who are really just taking a lemon and making lemonade out of it.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. And, who doesn't like lemonade?
Exactly. I know I do.
One of our, we call her our rock star fan, Miss Vivian Royal, is asking, do you think it's safe for children to go back to school?
Excellent question. And honestly, I was thinking if the question didn't come up, I was going to hit it. But thank you, Rockstar. Ms. Royal. I actually am in contact with the health department every other day. And so I do have the opportunity to see our metrics as a county, and then I look at ours. So as a county, they look at 3 metrics. 2 of those metrics are in phase 2, and one of those metrics is still in phase 1. Mm-hmm. So until we can get all those metrics aligned in phase 3, it's not yet. And unfortunately, I was sharing in the green room here, we probably have about 30% of our employees that are back in our facilities on Monday and Wednesdays. And I probably have to close at least one facility every other day due to COVID-19. And so just know that I am continuing to monitor it with the health department. They have amazing metrics. We do talk weekly about what those metrics look like. And though we have improved as a county by leaps from where we were in April, we're just not ready yet.
Yeah, and I get the same question regarding the libraries. You know, when are you going to open the libraries? When are you going to open the libraries? And it's the same metrics we're using in the county. Yep. You know, we want
the same thing we do. We all look at the same data.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a county-wide approach, which is really important. And it's also about keeping not only people entering the building, but the people who work in the building, our staffs. We want to keep them safe as well. So it's twofold. Ms. Royal also says, is it better in home or in school education? And I think you kind of talked a little bit about that. Depends on the child and the situation.
Yeah, it really does depend on the child. I mean, you know, I have parents who reach out who have 2 kids and one loves it and one wants to go back, you know, and I think about my children, my own kids. And I think if, you know, they're older now and they're out of K to 12 learning, but I think my oldest will probably have said he wanted to go to school, and my youngest would have probably thrived to being home. So it just varies right now and their own learning styles.
And a shout out from Michelle Mickey Robinson, who says, as a parent with 3 students currently in the system, I just want to say thank you to both Dr. Goldson for her leadership and PGCMLS for your continued support.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. I know Roberta and I both can say thank you. This is an example of we're in it together. You know, when a parent struggles, we're struggling. And when you're successful, we're successful. We really are in it together.
She also says that she's been recently taking advantage of the extension of the grant from USDA, which is providing free meals for all county students. Woohoo!
Yeah, so let me talk about that really quick. And that is so important. We are offering free meals until December 31st from the USDA grant. So thank you for that. But it's so important that our families still fill out our free and reduced meals application, because that money will end in December and we'll be back to having to charge meals. And I want to share just how dramatic that change was. On the first day of school, we had to charge. USDA had not given us a waiver on the 31st. The waiver didn't come until that night. So on the first day of school, we had to charge. We had 5,000 meals delivered on that day. That Monday night, they announced that the meals were free. On Wednesday, we delivered 54,000 meals. So it's amazing what a difference a day and a program makes. But we can't continue that free meal after December 31st if people don't fill out that form. So please fill out your FAFSA form.
Do you anticipate any extension of the USDA grant or not? You don't know yet.
This is where this comes back in to say vote. I think it was strategic that the extension was put into play until December 31st. And there's no question, we have data to support that there's a need. We have numbers that I look at every week. And as I said, on average, we give out 50,000 meals a week. So there's a need, but people have to vote. Go out and vote. I think leadership matters. And I'm hoping it gets extended, but how we handle pandemic, January 1, we'll know under,
new leadership. Yeah. And I think I was taking our dog to the vet, and I think there might have been some food giveaway at Acton Academy, because there was cars lined up on both sides. I don't know what was happening, but oh my gosh, you are making it happen. So it was great. The question: what do you hear from PGCPS alum about what they value the most about their experience as students here?
Honestly, it's about the opportunities and access. I think what we don't do a great job with, and I really am trying to work hard on it, is all the programs that we offer. The fact that we offer dual enrollment for students and all you have to pay is the registration fee and books. Our students come back saying, I didn't realize how much of a value that was. I walked away with 12, 15, 18 hours to transfer to another university, and my friends didn't have those experiences. Or language immersion programs, or science and tech, or CTE, and walking away with the ability to have experiences where I built a house. So it's really the opportunities that our students have when they go away or they go directly to the world of work and they talk about, oh, I learned this trade from school versus someone who had to go to a specified trade school and pay for it.
Right.
Then they come back and say, look, I really had a lot of experiences that I don't think others had.
Well, I'm going to do a quick little plug for the trades because I live in a new subdivision and they are building houses like you cannot believe. They're just sprouting up, and there's electricians and plumbers and tilers and insulation and cement, and I mean, goes on and on and on. And these are in demand, folks.
Yep, they are very much in demand, and we already were, when we go back February 1, we're looking at trying to potentially look at a phased-in approach, but CTE students are at the top of the list who need to have those hands-on experiences.
Yeah, and so if you're interested, I'm telling you, you can get a job. I'm just pushing that out there for folks who, if my little subdivision is any indication, it is happening.
It's important that we actually mean what we say when we say college and career ready. Not every student is going to go to college. And so I have to make sure that they're prepared for a career.
Right. And also, the library wants to support small business owners and entrepreneurs because we know that's a huge wave of the future as well.
It is. We have just built in entrepreneurship courses now in all of our CTE pathways because we do want to encourage our future entrepreneurs that start early. We want them to be the future cheesecake parent moms, during the closure and started their own business. We want our kids to think about that now and how you're going to start your own business.
Something I saw on the news recently was some fathers who were getting together and building desks for kids across the country. Have you seen that initiative?
I have, and let me tell you, it's in high demand because you can't find a desk. It's hard. Amazon, which I shop often. You can't find it anywhere. So thank you, parents, for that. It's amazing initiative. Yes.
Another question, the county has, in my opinion, done an excellent job trying to support families during these unusual circumstances. And I feel like you do well with advertising them. But there are still so many families who have no idea how much you all do. And she's been trying to spread the word. Thank you, Ms. Robinson. How can you address maybe adjusting your marketing?
Yeah, excellent question. So we do have a marketing team that looks at what are the age groups that go to our Facebook site, what are the age groups that go to Twitter. And honestly, a lot of parents go to just their school's newsletters. And we know that because we're able to look at some of our metrics. And so we have to do a better job of trying to push out information to our 206 schools' newsletters. Because not everyone knows to go to our main webpage. And we were talking about this somewhere today. I said, I just don't look at social media. I think it was with you, Roberta. I don't look at social media for lots of my own personal reasons, but I do have a team that does. I just think that if we pushed everything out via social media, I wouldn't get that information.
Right.
And so before I go to my email in the morning, I go to our PGCPS.org webpage, main webpage, to see if I see anything new, as if I'm coming into it as a parent. So, Ms. Robinson, just know we're trying so many ways. We tried even the traditional mail until, we had to slow down the mail, and then so much mail was returned, or we found that it was still sitting in the post office until the post office situation came to light. So we're starting to see things move now, but we're going to try as many ways. So, Ms. Robinson, if you have any ideas, please shoot me an email at ceo@pgcps.org.
And also, the library's willing and able to promote on our webpage too. So we'll get our folks together, because the more you know, the more you know.
Yeah.
This says PGPS has some amazing arts programs. Can you share a bit about them and your thoughts on the role of arts in K-12 community?
Oh my gosh, we're actually doing a call out now. We did it in our newsletter to parents around artwork that we're asking from our students. And during this virtual experience, I'm telling you, our kids have found ways to, and our art supervisors and teachers have found ways to still highlight the work of our students while they were at home. So I just want to give an extra special shout out to them. We still are doing things virtually. And even when we did textbook distributions at the beginning of this school year, we also pushed out art supplies.
Awesome.
And so we wanted to make sure, even if it was so much as handmade sketchbooks for our students, or if they were taking a clay making class, that they could get those items to begin to do those programs. We have a vibrant art program, whether it's visual or performing arts. And we're continuing to support both of those programs. So please reach out to your school to get very specifics on what they're doing. And please check out our own PGCPS Arts webpage for both visual and performing arts to see what we're doing now as well.
Wonderful. We also support the arts. We would love to, encourage people to send us their art as well, so we can post it. We do have our crafternoons for kids, and also Creative Bug, which is a kind of a new addiction of mine, where you can literally go online and find any kind of class, music classes, art classes, painting, sculpture, you name it. And so that's been a lot of fun for me to explore. When we first closed, I was really getting into some of the library resources that I really didn't know as well as I should have. And also, resources. In October, we will be having our Maryland STEM Festival.
Yes. Yes, so we are encouraging our community to participate in the Maryland STEM Festival. And it's October now. Today is October 1, so it's here. October is already here.
And the library is going to be giving out STEM kits for chemistry, so you'll be able to see that online.
To start now working on those science fair projects than to benefit from the kits that are given out now. Use that as an opportunity to help prepare for science fair in the spring. So thank you for that.
Yeah, STEM is alive, and if engineering, if you haven't realized how important engineering is, just look at this Zoom call.
Exactly.
I'm going to see if there's any other questions. And Dr. Goldson, we're going to send you a complimentary copy of the Lisa C book.
Ooh, yay! I'm always open for another good book. So thank you. I so appreciate it.
Yeah. How can local employers help support the schools in their local community, or those where their children attend during the virtual environment?
Yeah. So first, start out in the local community by reaching out to your school that's in your neighborhood. We are continuing to build partnerships. We have an Adopt a School program where we have organizations that literally, businesses and organizations that adopt their local school. And it could be when you make that commitment to adopt the school, it's more than just the financial support. It really is the opportunity to meet kids, whether it's virtually, to talk about what a career day looks like and in your field. It could be that you assist on the day of distribution for laptops or meals or materials. As we started this process in virtual learning, we didn't realize how much we needed to get to our community members. And the distribution of supplies became a big to-do, and people just volunteered to help. So that's another way. And then honestly, our local communities, once again, and businesses can help through their voice by talking to their elected officials about closing that digital divide. And if by chance, whether it's $5 to $500, want to make a contribution to our Excellence in Education Foundation, those funds go directly back into our schools to help close the digital divide or for meals. But reach out to that school, because it could be so much as reading to our students in a classroom during a virtual experience. You'd be surprised how much support we can get and use even while we're doing a virtual experience.
Absolutely. And if you're feeling generous, the library also has a foundation, and we use those funds to be able to create all of these supportive programs for education for our kids and our adults as well. So thank you. And of course, Dr. Goldson, I wouldn't be a librarian if I didn't ask you what you were reading right now.
Yeah, so on my, well, I have two. So every morning I do read a devotional, and it just so happens, I'm gonna get the camera really quick. Just so happens to be sitting right here, called Jesus is Calling. And I do read a devotional every morning to try to just get me focused on my calling and what it is I'm expected to do for the day. And just to know that, we were selected for a time such as this. It keeps you rooted and grounded in the work. And the other book that I'm reading is called Building Equity. And it is around, and when it says building equity, around really how do we build equity in all 206 schools, so that the experience that one child has at one school is the same as the experience and opportunities another child has. And so it is causing me to do some serious soul searching and reflecting on what we have to change in our school system, but a great read.
Yes, and I think that is also true of the libraries. I mean, we want the experience to be the same for everyone, having the same opportunities, the same advantages. And so it's really important. Equity and inclusion and social justice are just at the top of our list right now in our organization. And of course, I'm sure it is with you as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, it is almost time for us to close the show. I'm going to ask and see if there's any last question. I have a plug for our Access, Equity, Diversity, Inclusion, and Anti-Racism resources and book recommendations at pgcmls.info/anti-racism.
So we will definitely push that out in our newsletter. As I stated earlier, we are doing a year of implicit bias training, and really talking about equity, diversity, inclusion, and anti-racism actions. And so great resource and location for our employees to get documents to read. So we will definitely push that information out to our employees as well.
Excellent. And I'm hoping you and I can chat maybe as soon as next week. Nick just pulled up our Black Lives Matter period, which is our bold statement, because we know it's so important. And we have videos, we have all sorts of things, resources for everyone. So we are really excited about this new component. Oh, John Lewis. John Lewis, we lost a hero there, didn't we? But so many great workshops that are coming. And so please, viewers, check that out. And again, help your schools, get involved, take care of your kids, make sure they're okay, read to them. And we are all here as a community to help you with this time. So if there's something you need from the library, if there's something you need from the schools, let us know.
We're
Absolutely.
here.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to talk with you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
All right. Everyone have a great night.
Have a great one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.